Breaking news.
We
happened?
have breaking news.
Garnet Hathaway.
What about Garnet Hathaway?
Extended.
Really?
Really? Because that was something I was going to... All right. So guess what, fam? That is some pretty interesting news.
So that happened.
And this breaking news is brought to you by Indeed. The listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/AllCity. That's Indeed.com/AllCity. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. So we have breaking news. Garnet Hathaway extended. That's actually kind of interesting to me because recently, I don't remember who I said that might have been on this show, might have been on it. I don't know.
We do so many shows.
There's just so many shows all the time. We did like 7 hours of shows over the weekend. I kind of thought, especially considering how much stock they are putting in this 2025 draft, Garnet Hathaway, an absolute trade candidate at this upcoming deadline, expiring contract. He's very much the type of player that a playoff team would covet, that playoff style. Every now and then he can put one in the net for you. What do we think about do we have the terms on the extension of Garnet Hathaway?
He got a $25,000 raise.
Good for him.
For 2 more years.
2 more years.
Why did we need to sign him immediately on July 1st, the year before his contract?
Well,
it feels like a...
It feels early. It feels... it's not that much money.
No,
whatever.
It's not, but...
But yeah, he's 30, 32. Yeah, it seems like a little bit of an unnecessary risk to sign him early.
Well, what's the point?
Well, they really like him. That's the point.
I know, but...
And he is very good. He's a very good fourth liner.
Yeah, he is a very good fourth liner.
He's one of those classic guys where the hockey men love him because of hockey man reasons. And the stats people love him because by the numbers, he's also really good, as he was again this season.
Now, listen, if that fourth line is going to be Hathaway with Cates and Paling, that is a very good fourth line. Mm-hmm. If they're going to, as they did for a lot of the second half of the season, scratch Nick Delorier, he does bring that toughness element. He can fight basically anyone in the league. I can't imagine, sure. If we're playing the Rangers, if we're, where's Reeves? He's still in Toronto. We play a team with an actual heavyweight. Maybe Delorier draws in, but he does bring that element just in case. And, if a brawl breaks out, we're not undermanned, I suppose.
So someone in the Broad Street Hockey Slack, please like and subscribe, just made a good point. He could be the new Lawton if you don't have a Lawton anymore.
That's a fair point. That's a very good point. If they are going to move on from Scott Lawton, which a lot of us thought was going to happen at the draft, me included.
I didn't.
All right, just fucking guy.
I expect him traded at some point this offseason, but it's July 1st, and he is still a Philadelphia Flyer. But if you are going to move on from Scott Lawton at some point, he does bring a lot of those elements. They haven't used him on the penalty kill in the same way, maybe not the scoring threat that Scott Lawton is. Not that he's, a 20-goal guy, but he does light the lamp from time to time. Garnet Hathaway a little bit less. But I just find it odd that we're re-signing a guy in his 30s when we're already kicking the can of this contention. The players who are going to be here in this draft now, we really don't want any of them. We want next draft. It's already going to be a certain amount. You'd want him here for the rebuild, I guess. What's the thinking here, Charlie?
The thinking here is that they think he's a very good player and they want to keep him. It truly, I imagine, is that simple.
We loved a galaxy brain, though.
We do.
The idea, I don't know. I'm not of the opinion that this is because they're going to trade Lawton. I'm not of the opinion that this is three-dimensional chess. They really like Garnet Hathaway. They think he's still good. They think he will still be good 2 years down the road. Now, for me, my point would be, why do you have to sign him on July 1? He's got another year left on his contract. Is it going to kill them if he drops off a cliff this season, or if he gets hurt and is a shell of himself for the 2 years on this extension? No, it's not going to kill them. It's $2.4 million. No big deal. It does seem to me to be a little bit premature. Is he that essential that you have to sign him a year early?
No.
I like him a lot. I'm glad we get to watch him on the team. He's fun. Mm-hmm. And based on his statistical performance last season, I think it is very possible that this extension is perfectly fine. That said, I don't know why you had to do it now.
Oh, when we get in the Konechny extension, then. 3 o'clock.
That's a great question. It'll probably be as soon as this show ends because that's how things work.
So going back to the Hathaway thing.
It's over.
Just before, let's wrap the bow on that since that just happened as we were on. Look, he's a good player. He's a good fourth liner. It's not going to kill them.
Nah.
I am unsure of why you had to do it a year early, given the fact that there's always the risk of, like, he's 32 years old, I believe. I do not know when he turns 33 in November. So you're basically going to be, the contract will kick in when he is 33, about to turn 34, and it will end in a year when he is 34, about to turn 35. So this will last until he is 35. Is it possible he remains quite good through that time? Sure. He's a good player now. It's only 3 years down the road, but it does seem a little risky, unnecessarily risky to sign him a year early. I guess their thought process is we really like him. We want to have Garnet Hathaway as our fourth line wing for the next 3 years. Simple as that.
It's just one of those things where, like, listen, we talked about this all season. As a person who needs to watch 82 games, the Flyers are a more entertaining team
significantly
with Garnet Hathaway on the ice. I enjoyed Garnet Hathaway's minutes much more than I did whatever the fuck the fourth line was the couple of years before that. 100%.
100.
I like him as a player. My kind of guy. Absolutely my type of player. Just in terms of, like, roster management, I just... Man, yeah, he's a real good fourth liner. Why the fuck can't we have a homegrown fourth line? Like, why does it need to be Ryan Poehling, who we had to go get, and this guy make up 2/3 of it?
Well,
like, we can't even come up with this.
Don't give Ryan Poehling shit. Ryan Poehling's like 24. You're begging for a homegrown player to become as good as Ryan Poehling is.
Yeah, sure.
I get Hathaway because he's 32, and you're like, yeah, why don't we get a young guy? Poehling is a young guy. You happen to pick him up on free agency rather than draft.
I'm just saying, if we're not able to pull out fourth liners from all these drafts, what are we doing here? Like, that's all. That's all.
I don't know. I'd rather get a good fourth liner. If I have the choice between, like, getting Ryan Poehling, who I know is good, versus, like, giving Elliot Denoyer a shot, and there's a 70% chance he will never be as good as Ryan Poehling is now, I'm completely in favor of having Ryan Poehling, the definitely solid player, box out the probably not good prospect who was picked in the 5th round.
I just find it strange.
It would be one thing
that they
if he was
have to
31.
invest in free agents to play on the fourth line. That should be like, we have all these kids, we have all these prospects, none of them have a path. Like,
the only reason we're talking about this is because Briere felt the need to do it immediately. Like, if they had signed this contract in, like, December, after a couple of months of him playing well, everyone would be like, all right, cool.
I would still find it strange that he's not a top trade candidate at the deadline.
Well,
I find that odd that a dude at his age, given our situation, isn't like, oh yeah, let's turn him into a 3rd round pick.
To be clear, he can still be traded. It's not like this contract is untradeable.
No, it's not untradeable.
He can still be traded.
It's just
true.
By extending him on July 1st,
it's not exactly.
It seems as if the intention is to keep him.
One would assume.
Not to trade him in a couple of months.
Yeah.
One would assume.
On an expiring contract, which other teams are much more willing to take on, especially for
I understand that
a guy who plays. Yes. I'm not worried about his game falling off because his game is like, I get to the net and then, stink face everybody with my glove.
A little bit. I mean, guys who are 35 years old generally aren't as good as they were when they were 32, and he's already just a good fourth liner. If he slips a little bit, then he suddenly becomes a bad fourth liner.
It's more so just about the way he plays. High potential for injury. He
hasn't really gotten injured much in his career, though.
But all it takes is one dude running him from behind because he's mad at him.
True.
And I realize that's everybody, but he's a guy who pisses everyone off. I just find it odd. Again, this is not a make or break deal. This isn't going to kill anybody. I just find it a little odd.
We all silly like the mayor.